Right, well, I suppose I thought I'll go live for a bit and explain what I'm doing. Right, I ordered this kit for my refrigerator. I got the valve thing, but there's one problem. I got the wrong flipping attachment on one end of the pipe. So this end's fine for the gas can. This goes on the gas can when it arrives, but without. Anyway, I took this off because this is the wrong fitting that was on this end. So I've 3D printed a thing on it. I'm also doing a stopper to go in this end so that I can do a pressure test. But yeah, the trouble with the pressure test is you've got to blow the air through and you lose some of the gas when you're doing it. So I'm kind of reluctant to do that. But this particular gauge, it goes up in quite large steps. So it actually it measures way up to 250 pounds per square inch. Well, the fridge doesn't use that much. It's only we're only supposed to, when you set this up, when you're actually putting some pressure in, regassing, putting some pressure into the system to replace any that's been lost, you're only supposed to be at about 5 or between 2 and about 5 psi, right? And this gauge, it doesn't give me a very good resolution. That's positive pressure. So this also reads negative pressure, this gauge. When it goes into the green section, it actually reads negative pressure. But I have another gauge which I actually got here, which I actually got probably a couple of years ago, and I never got around to using it. But this particular gauge is really good because it goes up to 15 psi, and it's much more accurate. So the number of steps on it, it starts off at a really good resolution. So it goes from, if I can get the light right on it, focus. So it starts off at 0 and it goes up to 2.3, as you can see, 2.5, sorry. Then it goes up to 5, and it goes up to 7.5 at the top end. So this has got a much better scale on it for fine tuning, and this would work a lot better. And when I bought this, I got it for the water reverse osmosis originally, but I never plumbed it up because I didn't have an adapter. But I've decided to make an adapter for it, and so I made this 3D printed thing. And what I've done is I've made a thread. I used some of my plastic glue to stick this on, so this is stuck onto the thread solid so it doesn't leak. And I've super glued this piece of white stuff, which is what reverse osmosis nylon pipe. I super glued that on to there, so that's not going to leak. It's permanently on. So this T junction is permanently attached. Now I've got super glue on my hand now. Super glue on my finger. I can feel it. It dribbled off there. Yeah, I can see what it's dribbled off. On the bottom there, there's a bit of super glue. It's dribbled onto my hand. So that's not going to come off because super glue will stick to this anyway. It's just mainly as a sealant. And don't forget, the pressures that we're talking about are on the low side of the gas, so they're going to be very low. They're not going to be any higher than about 5 psi. So looking at this scale, if I was to add a bit of gas, I wouldn't really want to be any higher than about there, which is about 5 psi. So ideally I want to be around 2.5 to about 4 psi. So this scale's got a better resolution than that one, because the increments are so small it's hard to see them. If you're looking, look closely, there's each one of them tiny increments down there. Those tiny little things there, very hard to see, and my eyes are not good. So I decided I was going to put this meter on. So this is going to go in series. So I've put this adapter thing on the end, right? So I'm going to make another T junction with this, and I'm going to add, I'm moving the mouse out of the way, I'm going to add this meter in series in series with that one, right? So, and then I'm going to have my tap on the other end of that. So I'm going to have 2 meters on here instead of just this one, and I'll get better resolution. Oh damn, this glue is still on my hand. I'm going to have to get some acetone to get it off. Hang on a minute. It's driving me nuts. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. I can see. It's horrible when you get it on your hand. Just put some acetone on here. Right, I think I've got it. Oh, it's on my little finger as well. Shit. Sorry about that. Hang on. I'm going to stick my fingers together if I'm not careful. So, trying to get this super glue off my finger. Oh, it's coming off now. It's a weird feeling. It feels like your skin's turned into a shell. Right, I've got rid of that. Anyway, so, and as I said, because I went and got the wrong fitting on the other end of that pipe, what I've done is I've filled the thread up on this piercing valve with ABS plastic, right? When this dries, when this plastic dries, that's going to become the thread part. All I've got to do is use a bit of acetone on the outside when this is dried properly, and then press it into this socket. Press it into the socket, let it dry overnight, and then tomorrow I'll be able to unscrew it. And that's simple, and it works. I already did it, actually. I did it on this thing here. This one here will actually unscrew now. I don't know if I actually want to put a bit more ABS in there. I don't know if I can actually undo it. Oh, it needs to be left overnight. But this is a good seal, a perfect seal. I've already, yeah, it's really good. I use my ABS plastic slurry that's in the syringe, and once it dries, you can actually unscrew it, and you have a thread. So I don't even have to 3D print the thing with the thread. The thread is molded onto the metal stub of the valve, and that when that dries, it will shrink down, tighten up a little bit, and a certain amount of tension on it will I use wax, actually. I use a wax base on the thread so it wouldn't stick too hard to the thread, so I can break it free, and then I'll just unscrew it. So that's what's going to happen with that one. Same principle. I did this with this one as well, but I added a bit more plastic about 2 hours ago, and it's probably still sticky, so it won't undo right now, but it works anyway. I was able to unscrew it, and so when this dries, this bit of plastic that I put on this thread, when it dries, I'll just press it into here, and with a bit of acetone around the outside, press it into that, then that will bond to this plastic, then I can unscrew it. It works. I've already done it once, so yeah, and it makes a really good seal as well, because I was actually going to test something. I'm going to get my vacuum pump, because I'll show you what I mean. Where is it? I want to test this. I want to test this for leaks, this thing here, with this T-junction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, the one that I did earlier. So what I'm going to do, my actual pump, my compressor and vacuum is here, right? This is this thing here, right? So little 12 volt thingy, but you got to keep it running. When you turn this thing off, it leaks back through. So this thing, you have to have a tap on it, really. I did some tests earlier, and this bottle, I actually made this for the reverse osmosis a few years ago. It's got a valve, it's got a tap on it, and I can actually create a vacuum in this bottle. this bottle can create a vacuum, and I can create pressure in the bottle. And there's actually a vacuum in this bottle right now. I'll just stick the pipe near the phone and have a listen. Right, I'll let the air in just then because there was a vacuum in it. So yeah, and having this tap on there is useful. So at some point what I want to do is I'm going to create a vacuum in the bottle. I'm going to turn the tap off, then I'm going to attach it to this gauge, and I'm going to bung up the other end with a plug. I'm going to turn the tap on the valve on the bottle, and then I'm going to see if the air leaks out of this gauge. I'll know that by simply turning the tap off again, removing the pipe from this assembly, turning the tap back on again. If I hear it, if it doesn't make a noise, I know that it's already lost its pressure, so I'll know that there's a leak in there. So this is what I'm doing at the moment. I'm basically making sure the system that I'm making is going to be airtight. Hang on a minute. I had to go and get something. I bung a plug out the reverse osmosis, because I'm only working, it's only low pressures anyway. So I've got to bung up one end of this hole with this bunger thing, push it in, that sealed that end up. Now I can attach a piece of hose to this end, because it's a T-junction. At some point I'm going to have it going straight through, you see, but at the moment I don't want to go straight through, so I'm bunging that hole up. I'm going to hook up the suction. Where's my other adapter gone? Oh, I've got a tap here actually I can use. Yeah, I'll use this other tap. I've got this reverse osmosis tap which I can use, so I'm going to hook this up to my bottle. I'm going to create a vacuum in the bottle. I'll just take these clips off, create a new vacuum in the bottle. I'm going to hook the bottle up to the gauge, so take that off. I've got plugs on the end, stop muck getting in. Take these plugs off, attach that to there, attach the other end to my bottle, which is down here. Right, that's attached. Now I've got to go and put power on this thing and create a vacuum on that bottle. It's not going to be a massive vacuum. It's not as efficient as big industrial vacuum pumps, but it's good enough for this job. It'll have to be good enough because I've got another compressor, but it doesn't have a suction thing on it. I've only got it's only for blowing tyres up and things. Oh, come on, get on there. My arm is still playing up. Can't seem to, oh, that'll have to do. Right, that's negative. Connect that to there. Positive. Well, let's just put a vacuum on this ball. I'll stick it between my feet so it doesn't walk. Right, I don't know if this tap's open or not. We'll find out in a minute. Dancing around a bit. I don't know if the valve's open or not. That it must have been. I think that's open. Maybe actually I don't know which is which. Just a minute. Ah, that's open. I'm creating a vacuum in the bottle at the moment. There's nothing coming out. Turn the tap off. Right, I've turned the tap off. Turn that one off as well. Right, there should be a vacuum in that bottle now. I've turned the tap off on the bottle. Yeah, there was a vacuum on there. So I'm going to attach this to my gauge. I'm going to take this clip off here actually. Don't need it on. Remember the bottle tap is turned off at the moment, so there's a vacuum in the bottle. I'm going to attach it to this. This gauge only receives measures positive pressure, so the needle will probably go. Actually, it can't go down because there's a pin there, but so it won't show anything. I'm just going to test. I'm only testing for leaks actually. And it's easier to test for leaks on a vacuum than it is on pressure, because when you put pressure in, it expands the tube, whereas a vacuum will collapse the tube. So it's the best way of checking for a leak by creating a vacuum on it, really. Right, I'm going to open the valve on it. Actually, I'll grab the phone and do it. Right, so I've got it attached. I'm going to open the valve. Let's have a listen. Okay, the valve's open. I didn't hear much, I just had a little bit of air go through the pipe. So we're checking for leaks, and if that vacuum is maintained, if I was to leave this on all night and come back the next day and there was still a vacuum in it, I'd know for fact that this thing is not leaking. This thing is not leaking, which is what I plan to do, because I'm going to go to bed soon and I'm going to leave this overnight, and hopefully there won't be any leaks. And I'm hoping I've got that plug firing up in as well. In the meantime, let's turn it off for a quick test. Let's turn this off on the bottle. That's closed. Now let's see if I can get this thing off here. I'm going to put the phone down a minute. So a lot of farting about. See if I can get this off here. There'll be a vacuum on it. Right, is there still a vacuum in the bottle? That is a question. Open the valve, listen. Yeah, there was a vacuum in it, which means that this doesn't have any serious leaks. Right, I need to pull in the vacuum on the bottle now. And the vacuum on the bottle now. I can feel air coming out. You can hear the tone change. Right, I've closed the valve on the bottle, so we now have a vacuum on it again. going to stick it on this thing and leave it all night. Right, that's on. Open the valve on this bottle. A little bit of air went in then out the pipe, so I'm just going to leave that, and I'll come back and check this tomorrow to make sure that there's still a vacuum in the bottle, and if there is, I know that I'm safe and that there's not going to be any gas leaks. Oh, I did test this pump, by the way, this compressor thing. It can pump more than 15 psi. It basically ended this. It basically made the scale go right across over 15 psi. The needle just banged right round. So I know that this pump's it's more than adequate for doing this test. I mean, we're not going to be working with 15 psi on the fridge anyway. I'm just going to stick this somewhere out of the way for now. I'll stick it over here. Oops, it stuck to the magnet. Oh, that'll work. So, we'll see tomorrow if that's... still got vacuum in it. My phone's boiling hot, so I'm just going to leave that thing hooked up. And check it tomorrow and see if there's still a vacuum in it. Anyway, I'm hoping the gas actually arrives tomorrow though. I don't want to be up all night because otherwise I might miss postman. But this thing, it's going to do the job. I'll check the gas can that's arriving, and it will fit this this end. Oh, hi Philip. Oh, I didn't realise Philip was there. I noticed he's typed in the chat. I've got a message on the screen. Yeah, yeah, my fridge freezer is just a little bit low on gas. It is still working. It's just that the compressor's is working overtime. It's working too hard because it's just lost a bit of pressure. That's all. It's not a bad leak. It's something that's basically been happening since my dad bought it, I suppose, since when he bought it when he was alive, 2004, I think. I mean, the fridge freezer is still working, and I've been having issues with it every summer. Actually, it's mainly in summer that I have problems with it, and it's just that the compressor's running all the time. Because there's not enough. The compressor has been starved of gas, and it uses the environmentally friendly gas, which is basically isobutane. And recent legislation was changed in 2016, apparently, 2016, where 3 other refrigerants have been banned, which are no longer used. However, what's the name of it? Isobutane is legal because it has low environmental impact, and that is the type of gas that my fridge freezer uses, which is R600A. I think that's right, R600A. I'll have to go and check it out. Just a minute. My brain's gone to mush. It's basically lighter fuel. Let's see. I'll just check my computer a minute, make sure I've got the right number there, because what is it? Yeah, R600A is the type of gas which is legal. It's perfectly legal. Bloody hell, phone's getting red hot. Yeah, I'm gonna have to end the stream in a minute. So yeah, anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm just making some adapters to customize my plumbing a little bit, and I thought I can't afford to buy any more adapters off eBay. I mean, it's so expensive, and there's some eBay sellers on well, Amazon and eBay. Some of these kits are like 100 quid, they're like 80 quid. It's ridiculous. I thought, well, I just needed the basic stuff, the main stuff, which was the pressure meter and the piercing tap. I thought, well, I'll get the hose because it was cheaper, so I got that. But then this thing on this end was the wrong one. That's this thing here. It's for car air conditioning. That's the only thing that's wrong. So at some point, I will buy the brass fitting that will fit on this end, that will fit directly onto the gas valve. But for the moment, I'm just making one. Why not? I can make one. I've made loads of stuff, and this is why I'm doing the pressure testing on the fittings. As you can see at the moment, the one that I made for this meter is not leaking, which means it's all good. If that was not leaking, there's no reason why this one will leak either, and I'm doing it right. So what you do is you put the plastic, the gummy stuff, on the thread. After you put wax on the thread, you put the wax on the thread so it doesn't stick to it. You basically squirt the plastic and acetone based stuff on the thread so that it's smooth all the way around. You leave it until it shrinks a little bit and dries out, and then I just press it into the actual attachment with a bit more acetone, and it becomes one with that. Then I leave it overnight and I just unscrew it. It's like a mold. It's basically molded on. And oh, thanks, Phil. Yeah, I have been struggling a little bit lately. Yeah, thanks to that. Yeah, I couldn't find out what fitting that was. You see, I couldn't. It's the I couldn't find out what fitting it was, and I ended up with the wrong one. But yeah, no worries. I can make one. The other one's not leaking, so. And this gas top up thing will only take a few minutes anyway. Once it's done, you seal the valve on this. You just screw this little Allen key wrench pin thing in the middle. You screw it all the way back down, seals the valve and the pipe, and then you can remove the cap off this end anyway. Once you've done that, you just put the end cap, which is, oh, where is it? I've lost it now. It's around, oh, here it is. You put this cap, which has got a rubber seal in it. I don't know if you can see it. It's got a rubber seal in the bottom there. So when you finish doing your gas top up, you put this metal cap on it. It's like a bicycle cap you put on your inner tube on a bicycle. Similar thing. You screw this on tight, and you can even glue it on if you want to make sure it doesn't leak. And that goes on the end of there when I'm finished, and you leave this in situ. You can't take it off once you put this on the gas pipe because it pierces a hole and it's permanent. But then if at any point in the future it needs a bit more gas, it's easy to just add a bit more. The trick is to create a vacuum on the pipe system that goes to the fridge before you open the valve, because you've got to suck all the air out of this pipe system. You've got to suck all of the air out of the pipe system before you actually put the gas on the end. Otherwise, what happens is you end up putting air into your fridge, and that's a bad idea. I'll tell you why. What happens if you put air inside the gas piping system of your fridge is the pipes freeze up. The actual gas pipes freeze up inside, and you can end up with a blockage where your gas can't circulate and make the fridge work. So your fridge can end up in a situation where you've got ice crystals in your gas line, and that is a bad day for everybody because you can't get to the damn things if they're inside in an awkward place. So it's important that the system doesn't get any air introduced in the first place, and obviously most people are using nitrogen. They actually another way is to squirt nitrogen gas and flush the entire system out, but then you still got to use a vacuum anyway to suck everything out before you put your freezer gas in. And there is freezer gas already in the fridge anyway, so I'm not going to evacuate it. I'm just going to make sure that I pull a vacuum on these pipes, and I'm going to be testing to see how much of a vacuum I can actually pull by looking at the gauge. So before this hose gets attached to the fridge, I'm going to pull a vacuum on it to see how much of a vacuum I can get on this hose, just the hose itself. So yeah, that's another test to do before obviously I'm doing this test first, because I don't have the adapter done for this one yet where I can actually attach. Actually, can I attach the vacuum on this at the moment? I've not. No, I can't. I've got to wait for that to dry. When that dries, I can unscrew it. I can't unscrew it until it dries, so I've got to leave that on for now. I need to plug this end with a bunger thing, which I've 3D printing. I'm going to 3D print a plug to go in this end. Then I can pull a vacuum in it. Or I could stick blue tack in temporarily, even maybe, just to pull a vacuum on it. Just to test how much vacuum I can create. But yeah. So that's all there is really at the moment. Just update. I've got to go because my phone is cooking right now. Yeah. Caravan gas fridge, Philip. Ah. Oh, I don't know anyone that's got any caravans. Yeah, well, you have to come on Discord and come and chat to us. How are you keeping anyway? Because I haven't seen you for God knows how long. I was wondering about you the other day. We haven't heard nothing from you, so you must have moved, have you? Have you moved house or something? But yeah, try and get on Discord so we can have a chat with you. Anyway, I'm gonna have to go because the phone's boiling hot and the battery's dropped to 61% and it's really cooking right now. It's burning my hand. I don't want to fry the phone. But thanks for those tips. Yeah. All right. Good. I'm glad you're fine. Good. Anyway, I'll have to go because I can't hold this phone much longer. It's getting too hot. I don't know why. It usually gets hot when I've been on for too long. Well, anyway, we'll talk to you later. Oh, you're still in the Leeds. Okay. All right. Talk to you later. Talk to you later then, Phil. Okay. Bye. Oh, wrong button. What am I doing? Wrong button. Stupid main. Where is it? Stop. Where's the stop button? Hang on. I lost the stop button. Flipping heck. Hang on a minute. Sorry about this. I've got the phone on my way up now. Trying to find the stop button here. Stupid phone. Oh, I'm in the chat, that's why. Damn it. Where's the